We learned at least 1, 2, maybe 3 commands last time. Cat, more, you can do head, you can do less. I don't think we learned head and less, so let's learn head. Head will generally show you the first 10 lines of a file if you don't specify a different number. So what head does is it shows you the first 10 lines of a file. So if I had done head db_prod, you can see that it shows me the first 10 lines of a file. You can always specify a different number. You can say head-20, and then it will show you 20 lines. Similarly, tail basically is going to do the same thing, just at the other end of the file. So if I say tail, it shows me the last 10 lines of that file by default. You can change the number again by specifying a different number on the command line this way. Since we know that more shows us a screen full of things at a time, as you remember, I'm going to look at my BLAT output file, which is in the standard PSL format. And this file is actually helpful. I'm not going to be able to expand this window because we're limited by the resolution here. But there are several columns in it, and there is actually a header for the file. So it actually shows you the mismatch, the scores for the matches and mismatches. So in fact, can someone tell me what's wrong with this file? Anyone? We have a file, we seem to have a header, but there's nothing in it, right? Because that's all there is. We are using more, and it's showing us the entire file and not showing a screen full. Can someone sort of think back and try to figure out what happened? Obviously, we have no output. So, but why do we not have an output? No, I mean it ran. We have a file. It's just an empty file. Think of what we did. I'm going to go back to our job. So what did we do here? We were using protein files, right? It found the files, but since we had not told BLAT that you're using protein data, even though it ran the program, it didn't produce any output because if I just run BLAT, one of the options here is, you have to tell BLAT what kind of file this is. So there is actually a specific option called -prod, which automatically sets the database as well as query to protein. So this is how you're going to start diagnosing when something goes wrong with a program you're trying to run. Go back and think what you did, because a lot of the times you will find that you basically provided an incorrect option to the program, and that's one of the reasons why it did not run. So we're going to go back to our bsub command, and this is where your up and down arrow keys are going to come in handy. I'm not going to retype the whole thing, but this time around I'm going to tell BLAT that my data is actually protein. Then I'll run the program. This time I should have a job in my jobs listing. Generally, when your job is waiting, it's going to say penned in that column there. At this point, I could log out and my job will automatically run whenever a job slot becomes available. You can see that still my job is pending for the moment. So while it's waiting to run, let me see what we are going to do next. Still pending. So let's go ahead and start talking about the next phase. So remember, we are not limited to having a single shell. So let's go ahead and open one more shell so we can start doing something else in a different shell. Every time you open a new shell, by clicking this first icon here, blue, which says new terminal window. Every time we open a new shell, remember, this is treated as if you logged into the system again. So if I look at we have the black module loaded in this window. But now if I go to the second shell that I opened and check for modules by doing a module list, you can see that in this window there are no modules loaded. So this is treated as if this is a fresh session that you started. And I want to load the blast module in this window, because we're going to do a blast search next. So this way you can have multiple shell windows open with different things in it that you may be working on. So now if I go back to module list, you can see that a default blast module has been loaded. Let's switch back to our, we don't actually need to switch back to the other window. The bjobs will give you a cumulative listing of any jobs that you may have submitted from any of the shells. So the jobs listing that you get from bjobs is associated with your onion, and it's not associated with the shell you're in. So from any shell you may be in, you can always say bjobs and figure out what is happening with the job you submitted. So while that job is still waiting, I think we're going